Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Robert Phoenix. Hi, beaming you from Fredericksburg, Texas. What's happening? What's going on? As you can see, I am wearing a new piece of attire. That's right, we got 15 minutes of flame caps. I just got my first batch. It's a very small batch, not a big batch. But I do have a few for sale. I'll talk more about it a little bit later. But I want to do more of these. I want to get a couple of different colors. So this is just an experimental run. The next run might be a little bit different. The image will be the same. The style of the cap will be the same. It's a cool cap. You see it's got the embroidery and all that stuff, right? So this is your chance to rock your 15 minutes of flame. Well, it's kind of a cool cap, right? Got the flaming crown for the crown chakra. And the number 15 right in the center there. So they're in. I got a few. Not many. When I say a few, we're talking like less than 10 right now. But as soon as once I can move these 10, then there'll be more. Okay? And the next batch will be a little bit bigger. And I'm going to go for a bit of a different color on the next batch. I'm going to be going with a gold that will match this. So the gold will be, instead of being yellow, this will be gold, and this will be gold. It'll be pretty cool. So that's coming. That'll be. And what's really cool is I've got the art and everything in. So it's all done. Oh, and speaking of art, look what else we have. Look what came in yesterday. That's what I was doing yesterday, running errands. Look at that. It's okay to be a white cat. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bound to be the most popular shirt, rather. Most popular shirt on the internet. Bound to be, it's okay to be a white cat. So if you ordered one of these, and I know some of you did order them, guess what? They're coming at you. They're coming at you. And I'm actually okay with doing more of these if you want one. How cool is that? I know that. Listen, it's not the most manly shirt. I can tell you that right now. I mean, look, it's it's okay. This is a nice quality T-shirt, but I think this would look good on men or women. I've got the man size. I bought one, but I think it's one of those shirts. You rock this shirt, you're walking down the street, people are going to look at it, it's going to be funny, and it's going to be subversive as hell. And we need some humorous subversion during these times. So let me check in with you guys on the how do we get one? The cap, I'm going to put a link to the cap. Here's what I'm going to do with the cap. I'm going to put a link to the cap on the 15 minutes of flame size. So if you want to order one, they're one size fits all. I'll put them up there and I'll start taking orders. I have, like I said, I have a limited number now. So if you want to get a cap, like the first 9 people, I think that's what I have left. First 9 people want to get this version of the cap, you can get it. And then if you, I'll put the link up today on the 15-minute side. And if you order, in the next 48 hours, and you're the first 9, I'm doing shipping this weekend on the T-shirts, so I'll send the caps out too. The 9 that I have, if you want to get a cap and it goes past the 9, don't worry about it. They've got the art. They can turn these things around. Like I said, the next version is going to be gold and then gold in the back. This is still pretty cool, right? Let me check in with the YouTube Chatlandia side of things. So what do we have? Owen is an FTM. He, she, it was engaged with tranny Christina Ricci. Okay, do you have, okay, so he's a FTM. Owen is a female to male. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think he's a dude. He's got kids. Dude, what do they do? Do they just ship the kids in? Do they ship the kids in? I don't think so. I don't think they ship the kids in. And I don't know if Christina Ricci is a tranny. I don't know if she's a tranny or not. She could be, but I don't know if she is, and I don't know if you know that she is. It's just the way to go. That's just the way to go. Hi, Gene. Good morning. Good morning, Misty. Good morning, Astrofly in Dubai. There's Isla. There's Jennifer. Okay, we're starting to come together now. Come together right now. Oh, is a female? No, he's not a female to male. Come on, that's bullshit. He's got brothers. He's the dude. He's not a female to male. So when you say that Owen is a female to male, he, she, it was engaged with tranny Christina Ricci, your credibility is shot. It's shot. You can still hang out though. It's okay. You can still hang out. Well, good morning, Mary. Good morning. Did I say good morning, Luann? Good morning. What's going on? Jean Sick or Jean Sick. Good morning. So it's getting to be pretty lonely in these parts. If you haven't heard the news, Owen Benjamin has passed away. And I mean it in the YouTube sense. He's still around, but in the YouTube sense, he's passed away. Owen Benjamin is gone. Let's just take a quick look at the astrology for today. I pulled up the chart at the moment. Here we go. There it is. We got some more Yod action. That Saturn-Neptune sextile is still on. And let's see, it is in Yod with the sun. Oh, look at that. You know, we've had all these discussions about the Yod that occurred with the shootings on 8/8/69. I'm going to talk about Once Upon a Time in America, or Hollywood's, after I get through the Owen Benjamin stuff. Yeah, so there was a Yod that happened that day. There was a Yod that happened over the weekend. By the way, I've been making a lot of discoveries and kind of interesting epiphanies, as they say, around some of the characters that have been involved in these mass shootings. I'm gonna get into that tomorrow. I'm gonna try and spend as much time. I'm gonna fly solo tomorrow on the Friday Firecast and try to get into as much of this as possible from a solo perspective. But yeah, it'll be about who these kids are theoretically, and more importantly, who their parents are. So stay tuned for that. But today it is 8/8. It is the 50-year anniversary of the Tate LaBianca killings, and the reason why LaBianca is mentioned is because those killings happened the day after. There were two other murders that took place prior to what happened on Los Cielos, right? And it was one guy who was a black, so-called black drug dealer. That was their salvo to start their race riot, was to kill a black drug dealer. And then there was, I forget who the other guy was, but he was, his name. But he was, here, let's just, fuck, we can do this right now. You know, we have the internet at our disposal, right? So let's get into this. I'm going to get back to Owen, and I'm going to get back to the chart of the day, or the chart of the moment. Give me 1 second. Just pop this thing up there. Okay. Well, I'll get into this. I'll have all the info. But let's get back to the chart of the moment. So what we have is the Virgo ascendant at 6 degrees. This was as of about 8:39, so about 20 minutes ago. Which means I'm here to serve. Take care of yourself. It's the morning. You've got Virgo on the ascendant. Well, at least here in Texas, we do. So make sure that whatever you put in your body is approved by your inner Virgo. Yeah, that's very important. I've been learning. I've been learning to love my inner Virgo. It's a hard sign to love, let me tell you. It is definitely a hard sign to love. And I'm like right at that 29th degree. I'm like, I'm almost out of here. I'm almost out. But the relocated chart here in Texas makes me squarely Virgo rising. So I've come to the Virgo party. And of course, I brought sparkling water. You coming up here, man? Come on, your fans are asking about you. Oh, man, Jasper is a beast. Well, welcome, Jasper. Yes. It's Leo. This is your month, buddy. Here, come on out. There you go. You got the whole thing waiting for you. So we've got the Yods. How about that? It's another Yod. Father Yod, the Source family. By the way, which also was taking place in Los Angeles right around the same time as the Manson family. That's right. We had the Manson family. We had Source family. There were a lot of families going on. And my family was there in Southern California, albeit briefly. Gemini on the midheaven. At this point in time, it's a great time to talk, let me tell you. Let's see what else is happening. We've got the moon in the final degrees of Scorpio. What is that? We're at 20, looks like it's 26. By the end of the day today, by tonight, we should be into the moon in Sagittarius. We still have that pesky Jupiter square to Neptune that's taking place, which makes things very difficult when it comes to discerning and disseminating the truth. It also amplifies victimhood and all the hyperbolic, psychic noise that goes along with the Jupiter-Neptune square. Everything is distended and out of proportion. It's actually an aspect of hysteria. And I think that's what, and there's no sacred cows now, right? There's no sacred cows. That's another aspect of the Jupiter-Neptune square. Joaquin Castro decided that he was going to publish the list of, 40-some-odd Trump donors in San Antonio. There's nothing sacred. There's no such thing as privacy anymore. Mitch McConnell, have you seen the Mitch McConnell videos? Holy shit, if I was Mitch McConnell, there is no freaking way I would get behind any kind of gun control legislation after having been subjected. I'm not a huge Mitch McConnell fan. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. But if I was him and I had all those people on my sidewalk or at the edge of my street, I'd do everything in my power to protect myself. And of course, they've got Secret Service and all that stuff. But if he had any shred, and I mean any shred of conscience, moral conscience, he would do everything in his power to protect the American people. That's right, because the authorities ain't going to protect us. Although, wasn't it really interesting that the police in Dayton got there within like 30 seconds? Oh, man. Wasn't that interesting? Oh, you don't need guns. It's okay. We show up just like that. We're there. We are there. You know, we were just kind of waiting for it all to happen. That's how good we are. You know, it's almost like we were practicing pre-crime. Jasper, what do you think of all this? Jasper's had to have his claws registered with, like in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bruce Lee talks about having to have his hands registered with the LAPD. I think that's true. Jasper's had to have his claws registered with the Fredericksburg PD because they are so freaking sharp. You don't want to mess with Jasper's claws, let me tell you that. He's got no teeth. But his claws are epic. He's got epic claws. Anyway. The Mitch McConnell stuff is bad. Really, really, really bad. Really bad. That's the Jupiter Neptune square. That there's no demarcation anymore for what's, and look, I'm not necessarily opposed to doxing, by the way. I'm not going to sit here and put on my 1950s suit and tie. I think doxing can be really, really good. They're doxing the wrong people, though. They're totally doxing the wrong people. You want to dox people? You want to dox some people? I got a list. Trust me. I got a big list. Most of them are in the media, so they're public people. There are other people that I think need a little heat, if you know what I'm saying. But it's by and large, it's not necessarily something that I would advocate. I think the Rothschilds should be doxxed. Can I go on record and say that, or is that going to make me borderline white nationalist because I am not in favor of central banking as the way it's been erected and set up? Boy, you got to really think through these things now. Really think through these things. There was a guy that was in El Paso at the Trump speech. Although Trump did come out and he did say some stuff about the shooter in Dayton, Mr. Owen Connor Betts. I think Con or Betts. Place your bets. He did come out and say some things that, of course, he was more of an Antifa kind of character. Oh, good. Oh, good. You actually mentioned Antifa. Well, why don't you proclaim them a domestic terror threat? Because guess what? Everybody other than Antifa is being labeled that, okay? So you may want to take a little action on that front. Anyway, some guy was at the speech, and he was driving around, and he had an InfoWars bumper sticker. Guess what? They pulled him over. They pulled him over, and they started interrogating him. This is where we are. This is what's happening in America now. Once upon a time, in the USA, we actually had a so-called country, or at least, at the very least, the semblance of what appeared to be a country. Okay, so let's drop into the Owen Benjamin stuff. Let's just get there. Well, let me show you this. Jasper's not going to use my key. There it is. This channel has no videos. No videos. 262,250 subscribers, and that's probably a soft number. It's probably a soft number. I'll bet you Benjamin was probably closer to about 300,000 subscribers. I don't think it would have been impossible for Benjamin if they were actually keeping correct and valid statistics to get to 500,000 subscribers. I don't think it'd be that hard at all. I think he was on his way to doing that. But the party's over on YouTube. For Owen, it was just a matter of time. And I salute the fact that he has laid it all out there. He's a pretty resourceful guy. He's a Gemini, so he'll probably show up on BitTube, or maybe he'll do what I do and stream from his own website, which I'm doing right now over on 15 Minutes of Flame. And who knows? Maybe one of these days I might have to do it as well and just move over there full time. In which case, you people, I know you love YouTube, but I know you love the chat. But there is a chat over there, and it's not that hard to use. Trust me. But this is the state of America today on the 8th of August 2019. Now, Owen Benjamin was not theoretically killed, but he was metaphorically killed off of YouTube. There it is. So we did have a grisly murder, a grisly YouTube deletion murder of Owen Benjamin. And of course, he's still alive. He still has his farm. And he still has his kids. He still has his goats and his chickens and all the cool farmy things that he's decided that he wants to do. And God bless him for doing it. God bless him for doing it. But this channel no longer exists, and that is problematic. It's problematic, but how long was it going to take before his stuff was going to get shut down? I mean, I just kept every day. I'm like, I'll tell you who's next to go is Adam Green. Adam Green, I know you don't watch this channel because you're too busy working and doing a fine job. Adam Green is next to go because when he's even more forward, pardon the pun, than Owen Benjamin. Although Benjamin is funnier than Adam Green. People are basically saying that Owen Benjamin is the Bill Hicks or the Lenny Bruce of our time comedically. I wouldn't. That wouldn't be too much of a stretch. He's a very, very funny guy, and he's able to riff and jam with the best of them. So I'm sure he expected this. If you don't expect something like this, if you're not preparing, and that's a bigger piece to all this, right? If you're not preparing for what's coming, then you're way asleep at the wheel. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be YouTube, it could be the internet, it could be your power, it could be food. By the way, man, we're good. This is shaping up to be a really bad food year. Just an FYI, a bad food year because the Chinese have stopped buying stuff from us, other than pigs, of course. They'll buy the pigs because they've got some kind of pig disease and they need to get clean pigs so their food. They love the pork. So, but it's been tough. It's been tough. I mean, think about all the huge floods that we had in the Midwest early in the springtime. Terrible. And now the Chinese aren't buying food because they're pissed off because of these tariffs and the trade war. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't have the faith, the long-term faith of the people that are pulling the strings inside the Trump administration. His Secretary of Commerce is Wilbur Ross, and Wilbur Ross is one of the Rothschilds' bankers and bookkeepers. So he has a dyed-in-the-wool globalist as his money guy. Okay, there's not enough of a track record there. There's not enough trust there to actually throw it down and say, oh, these guys have it. I don't know if they have it. And I don't know. And again, look, we're being given two versions of so-called reality that we can punch a box and say, okay, well, this is the type of domain that I want to live in. One reality is the social Marxist Bolshevik reality where they want to take everything, they want to dispossess everyone, mostly everyone, not everyone, but then they want to be able to redistribute wealth, and that's not a reality I'm really inclined to co-sign on. Then the other reality is kind of the nationalist Zionist option, which, yeah, you can be a nationalist, but you've got to be a nationalist and basically say that you're not going to dox Israel, you're going to throw down with the Zionist Likud program. If Israel has a scratch, you itch it, right? It's that kind of a deal. So you can have nationalism, but it's always got to be tied to that other entity. So these are the options that we're being given. And they're really not very creative options. I was watching Tulsi Gabbard yesterday, and I like Tulsi Gabbard. I really, really do. And again, it's not always who you are, but who you know. And you don't get to that stage unless you're vetted and backed on some level. And Tulsi says a lot of the right things. She says some of the wrong things, to be honest with you. But she says a lot of the right things. And the one thing I will give her credit for is that she is unapologetic. And she's a total Aries. I was watching Jimmy Dore. That guy's pretty funny, by the way. He's kind of a left version of Owen Benjamin. They're both comics. And comics are great truth tellers. They can be really great truth tellers because they can bring things to the surface and talk about things that are painful, difficult, yet make you laugh. And it's really, comics were the original, they were like walking, talking memes. That's what comics were and have been. And they play a really essential role in our society. even the bad ones. Because when there's a bad comic, you know what bad comedy looks like. And you just stay away from it like the plague. So even they play a role. Anyway, I was watching Tulsi Gabbard, and there's some, just news wonk on MSNBC interviewer trying to be tough, ask the tough questions. What about your relationship with Bashar al-Assad? And will you condemn him now? Will you condemn him? Will you condemn him? Will you agree to the fact that he has gassed and killed 500 million people? That he eats babies? Will you condemn him, Tulsi? Finally! Do it here now. Cleanse yourself. Purify your soul. She's look, I've been here, that was 3 years ago. Every time I come here, I have to answer the same questions over and over again. They're starting to sound like Kamala Harris's talking points from her campaign. Wow! She said that. She actually said that. And then the woman who was droning on and on, Tulsi says this is where the propaganda kicks in. Man, this woman is switched on. And maybe she is the golden girl, the Council on Foreign Relations. Maybe she's another, false op. But look, she's still switched on in a way that's interesting. And the one thing she said was that I'm unapologetic about what I've done. I'll do everything, and I'd do it all over again. I'd meet with anybody to stop these wars. She said that. Unapologetic. She's an Aries. And that's an Aries in action. You'll see an Aries in action, you watch Tulsi Gabbard. If you want to study astrology, watch Tulsi Gabbard. You will get a front row seat in the sign of Aries. And it's not easy being an Aries woman, by the way. It's not the easiest life lesson. So good on you, Tulsi, whoever you are, and whatever forces are quietly and invisibly guiding your ship. Let's see what's going on in the chat with you people. Let's see what's happening. Tulsi's suing Google. That's right. Ani says, what did Ani say? Paulette, her first house was going to McConnell's house. New personal lines of living lobbyist, girlfriend, wait around, hand over storage key, locker. Yes. Why not do it before they kick me off? Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't think they're going to kick me off. But I do have it. I do have it. The whole idea here was to get up to about 500,000 subscribers and then just bring them on over to my website. No, that's not going to happen. I don't think the 500,000 people is in my future. But I'd love to. And I started it, and at some point, maybe that'll be the case. And we'll just migrate on over there because it's happening right there, right now. We're multicasting. All right, let me get into the topic that we have here for another few minutes, about another half hour. There it is. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm going to give you a spoiler here. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to see the movie and you don't want me to give you the spoiler, turn the volume down. I'm giving you a spoiler alert up front, okay? Spoiler alert up front. And I'm just waiting for the YouTube side of things to kick in a little bit here. So the spoiler alert is going away in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. You are now, if you're still listening, you are now in the spoiler alert version of today's stream. So Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Quentin Tarantino's latest movie. I would normally not go and see a Tarantino movie because I find him repugnant. And I stopped going to his films after. What was the last Tarantino film I actually saw? I think it might have been Jackie Brown. That I saw that on TV. I did not see Inglourious Bastards. I did not see Django Unchained. And there are reasons for that. Because Tarantino, and even with Kill Bill, Tarantino has been on a mission. Even though he loves these guys, and he loves these guys, trust me, and I'll get into some of this, he's been on a mission to essentially crush and denigrate a version of the white male that has become synonymous with the tenor of our times, which is that all whites are racist and need to be eradicated. And especially the white guy. David Carradine in Bill, he's killed by Uma Thurman, and he psychologically traumatized Uma Thurman, who was his bride, and then because, I don't know, whatever the fucked up reason was, kids or something, he killed her, right? He killed her. And then she comes back, and it's a revenge film, and we know that Tarantino loves doling out revenge. And this is kind of a soft revenge film. Now, I think he's a turd. But I went to see this movie because I was going to be on Clyde Lewis's show, which I was, on Monday night. So I thought to myself, maybe I should go see this movie. So I did. Went to the matinee. And it's clear that this is Tarantino's American Graffiti. Just like George Lucas created American Graffiti to be a love poem to his youth, this exists in very much the same way for Tarantino. And he uses the music of 1969 throughout the film. And you'll hear it on car radios, you'll hear it on records that are being used in the movie to actually color a plot. And Sharon Tate will put the needle on the record and you'll hear a Paul Revere and the Raiders track. And they'll start dancing around and that track becomes kind of synonymous with that scene. He does this throughout the entire movie. There are references to the radio station KHJ, which I listened to when I was a kid living in Southern California. I was living in Laguna Beach in 1969. We left there before the Manson murders took place. They were in August. We left in April of 1969. Went back to San Jose, Northern California. So I was there. I got a little dose of that Southern California culture and lifestyle. The breezy, easy breezy. So this is his American Graffiti. And Tarantino is in love with guys in a weird way. Okay, so he obviously despises white men on some level, but he doesn't despise white guys. Because Leonardo DiCaprio, Mr. Scorpio, born on 11/11, and Brad Pitt, Mr. Sagittarius, are guys. And Brad Pitt, his character is Cliff Booth. He displays a high degree of loyalty. He's Leonardo DiCaprio's stunt double and helps him out around the house. He's on DiCaprio's payroll. Brad Pitt plays a throwback character from a time when men were men. When men were men. And they had qualities like loyalty and even an odd chivalry buried somewhere inside themselves. So Tarantino is willing to flesh, he looks back nostalgically on characters like this. Now, whether or not that's a correct portrayal or not, that's a whole other thing. Because Hollywood, and for the most part, DiCaprio is portrayed as kind of a narcissist, a deeply flawed narcissist whose acting career is failing and spends most of his time chain smoking and getting smashed. Other than that, he's a good guy. He's a really good guy. Brad Pitt gets smashed. He doesn't smoke, but he gets smashed with him, and has a very unusual piece associated with his past. He killed his wife, and it's made it very difficult for him to work in Hollywood. Now, Tarantino does slightly resurrect that scene for a moment, and we don't know how he killed his wife, but we can imagine based on how Tarantino set the scene up. So essentially, Brad Pitt is a lady killer. Get it? It's a pun. He's a lady killer. That's what Tarantino is trying to stress in the movie to a certain degree. And he's also stressing the fact that not only is he a lady killer, but he has a very dark kind of Laurel Canyon side to his character. DiCaprio, he's just a failing actor. He's not failing, he's fading. And he's taking on more heavy roles. Al Pacino basically seduces him to go to Italy and play the role of, to get into spaghetti westerns. And I guess he's mildly successful, makes some money, and marries a beautiful Italian wife. Brings her back and sets it up for the final scene of the movie, which I will talk about. So remember, spoiler alert. But this is basically a love film to Hollywood. It is bright, it is sunny, people drive their cars fast. Well, by the way, there's a character. He loves character actors. Tarantino loves character actors. And he loves putting them. He's always been into these guys, right? Like Michael Parks. Luke Perry's in this movie. It's his final film. He has a very small role in the film. Michael Madsen, who has been in a number of Tarantino films. Tarantino absolutely loves Michael Madsen. So he's into character actors. So there's a guy who plays this older movie usher. And his name is Rennie Santoni. My mother went to high school with him. In fact, not only did she go to high school with him, but she went to the senior promises date. How about that? 6 degrees of separation right there. There was nothing between the two of them. The reason why he loved him is because he was Clint Eastwood's first partner in Dirty Harry. Okay, so we know he loves these guys. They're guys. He loves the guys. He doesn't like white males, but he loves white guys. That's clear. But there's some weird stuff in here. It's not necessarily damning per se, but it's a fairy tale. This movie's a fairy tale. So let me give you another scene here. This is DiCaprio, who plays a bad guy on a Western. And this young actress, who's very, very talented, is very precocious. There's two of her. There's her stunt double, and then there's the actual girl who's the actress. And this is theoretically a very touching scene where she gets up on his lap after the scene and whispers into his ear, "That was the best acting I've ever seen." Well, it's funny because she's 9 years old. That makes it funny on some level. But there's this weird undercurrent about her and the relationship between her stunt double and DiCaprio and his character. Because as the bad guy in this one scene, he is terrorizing and traumatizing her stunt double. It has a gun to her head. I mean, it's really, it's kind of disturbing in a lot of ways. Like, she's his hostage. And then at the end of the scene, she violently throws herself onto the floor as if he's throwing her on the floor, but it's really her. So what it is that there's a very strange kind of sanitized version of closeness between this young girl and DiCaprio. And then this other part of the scene where, again, it's all cinematic and fake, but in front of the cameras, it depicts some strange trauma. So what Tarantino does, and he does this throughout this movie, and especially at the end, what he does is he takes these ideas around children, sex, underage sex, intimacy, and sanitizes them. This is so. In a lot of ways, if you've ever seen the movie which I always forget the film. I always forget the fucking name. I remember every other Tarantino movie. It is. I swear to God, I always forget this movie. Bothers me. It's. I've got a block on this film. Instead of Pulp Fiction, I always forget the fucking name of Pulp. Pardon my language. It's interesting because Quentin Tarantino plays the wolf character of Harvey Keitel. And the wolf character in Harvey Keitel, he's a cleaner. And he goes in and actually has a scene with Tarantino where they have to clean up the mess that Travolta and Sam Jackson have made. Right? Tarantino is the cleaner for Hollywood. He is the wolf character for Hollywood. So his role is to clean up and sanitize Hollywood and hide the bodies. And this movie, in part, fulfills that role. Because in a weird way, this is a very touching scene, but in a weird way, it's also uncomfortably intimate also. But he cleans it up, right? Let me give you another example of what he does. So here's Brad Pitt, and he's at Spawn Ranch, and the young gal, the macrame halter top, is Margaret Qualley. And Brad Pitt keeps seeing her. Now, this scene where Brad Pitt sees her is based on Dennis Wilson's connection with the family. Because Dennis Wilson picked up a hitchhiker, just like Brad Pitt picks up Margaret Qualley's character. And Dennis Wilson drives out to Spawn Ranch to drop her off. And that sort of kickstarts the relationship between the Beach Boys and the Manson family and Terry Melcher. So Brad Pitt picks up Margaret Qualley, and after seeing her for 3 times, so on the 3rd time she's hitchhiking, and she gets in the car. It's a big Cadillac, and they're talking, and she says, "Do you want me to suck your cock while you drive?" And Brad Pitt basically says, "Well, how old are you? I bet you're not more than 16. Right? He's establishing the fact that she's underage. I got to tell you, I have to tell you, as a man, most men would not do that. Most men, some might do it. There might be some chivalrous men out there. And I've been, let's just say, I've been at varying degrees of the chivalry spectrum in my life. Now I'm trying to do my best to, stay on the right side of chivalry, okay? But it's a fairy tale. It's a total fairy tale. I'd say 95% of the men on the planet, if this young thing gets in the car, literally lays across the front seat of a Cadillac and asks the driver, "Do you want me to suck your cock while you drive?" What do you think 95% of the men would do? I think the answer is pretty simple and straightforward. The other 5%, God bless them, keepers of the flame. But do you see what I'm just talking about here? I'm talking about how Pitt's character becomes this kind of, he is the knight in shining armor, even though he probably killed his wife. That's Lena Dunham, by the way, in the white dress. So things go wrong at Spawn Ranch, but they ultimately go right. Pitt's able to get out of there with his life and his integrity all intact. And he has not violated the Mann Act. Well, the Mann Act is bringing somebody across state lines who's underage. But he doesn't have this dalliance. So again, what is Tarantino doing? What is he doing? He's cleaning up Hollywood. He's turning it into a fairy tale. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's turning it into a fairy tale. He's sanitizing it. It's American graffiti with some circa 1969, with some uneasiness and paranoia creeping around the edges. So I'm going to give you another warning now. I've just talked about a few scenes. We're coming to the end of the stream here. Coming to the end, the flame is starting to die down a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the end of the movie. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. At the end of the film, and I've given you fair warning now, you've had 2 moments to check out, and I gave you the meat of everything. The end of the movie, it's a very different outcome. It's a very, very different reality. Tex and the gang, who are headed up to Los Cielos to essentially kill J.C. Bring, Frykowski, Abigail Folger, and Sharon Tate are sidetracked. And they're sidetracked by Leonardo DiCaprio's character. And what happens is that they decide that before they go to kill the Tate party, they're going to stop at Leonardo DiCaprio's and take him out and exterminate him. Well, this is where Brad Pitt comes into play, and he becomes their avenging angel. He becomes the avenging angel of the American people and American culture by basically destroying 2/3. I guess he destroys them all 3 of these Manson family acolytes. They're all dead. Murder never happens. The murder never happens. The murders never happen. Sharon Tate has Rosemary's Baby, literally. And, of course, Roman Polanski goes on to have an outstanding career as a film director in Hollywood, creating cinematic masterpieces that surpass Chinatown, instead of having to leave the country with that unfortunate incident at Jack Nicholson's place with the underage gal, and he's been in France ever since. But by the way, his birthday is coming up. I think it's August 15th. He's a Leo. So, there's your fairy tale. The fairy tale is that the Manson family murders never happened. Now, what's interesting around this is that it's twofold. Number one, Tarantino is great at whitewashing history. He did the same thing with the Glorious Bastards. Right? Like in the movie, apparently Hitler, I've never seen it, but I've read the synopsis, and I know people have seen it. Hitler dies. They kill Hitler. So he rewrites history. And he's doing it again in this film. And so for him, the fairy tale of Hollywood gets to live on and on and on. Those 6 months in sunny, breezy Southern California, where pop music is at its apotheosis, that fairy tale lives on forever. And we don't have to deal with the mess and the gore of the Manson family murders. Now, there are some people who believe that Miles Mathis has stumbled onto something and that the Manson family murders never happened. Maybe this is what Tarantino is getting at. So the one thing about Miles Mathis that bugs me a little bit, well, it doesn't really bug me, but I have to question his veracity, efficacy, and his level of truth. And I know he works very hard. I know a lot of people love him, but he is convinced that Kennedy did not die. Okay, I had a client who lives in Dallas, married. Her husband is much older than she is. Her husband is one of the foremost brain trauma specialists and surgeons, not only in this country, but in the world. And he was on call in emergency when they wheeled Kennedy in. He worked on Kennedy's brain. Okay, so I can tell you that they wheeled him in, and he apparently was alive when he got there, but they couldn't save him. So, based on that, and that's one of Miles Mathis's keystone works. I have to take him. I can't take him completely seriously. And then there was this whole thing with Owen Benjamin, and whatever. So I just feel like he's good. His research is good. He's great at genealogy. Not everybody's perfect. Some people do things really, really, really well. Not everybody can do everything really, really, really well. That's life. In sports, it's very difficult to find somebody who does really, 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 really well at every phase of the game, or across all these different sports, especially in an age of specialization. So, I don't think that Tarantino is getting at that. He's getting at the Miles Mathis conclusion. I think what he's doing is he's sanitizing everything. He's sanitizing the whole thing. That ultimately good prevails over evil. I think that's what he's trying to communicate. I don't think he does it sufficiently. And he is, in a lot of ways, keeping the beast alive. We don't know what happens to Charles Manson, right? We don't know what happens to Charles Manson. If that's the case, if we play this out in the movie, we don't know what happens to him. We do know what happens in the other version of the reality, but that looks like a random, just break-in. We don't know who these people are, what they were doing, why they were there, right? Foils the whole master plan. Start a race riot. But it allows Manson, in a lot of ways, to continue to roam free in our consciousness, because in that film, there's no coming to justice. There's no helter-skelter. None of that. None of that ever comes out. None of it. Isn't that fascinating? It's all sanitized, whitewashed. Once upon a time in Hollywood. A fairy tale for our time. Okay, let me see where we're at with everybody else. Owen Benjamin relies on email subscriptions list. Good. Good for him. It's the way it's got to be. Tulsi soon Google. No age of consent in France. Thanks, Robert. Save my money and skip the theater. Do I need a puke bag? What else do we have here? Rosanna Arquette, just apologize for being white. Another refugee of the Tarantino movie industry. I was going to do her brother/sister Alexis Arquette's chart last week. Very disturbing chart. Very disturbing life, too. What else do we have here? He's gross. Pulp Fiction. Alexis Arquette were in Pulp Fiction. Didn't Cappy have a small role? Yes, I think so. The pianist movie CD contains that who describes a child from the war. No excuse for personal behavior. However, his clear sense of reality is mind split. I read Roman Polanski's biography. Supposedly, when he was in Poland, he had to get out of Poland because he was Jewish, and they were basically checking everybody who was trying to get out of Poland. And of course, if you were Jewish, you'd be circumcised. So Polanski created this kind of fleshy waxen sheath that he basically attached to his member, so that when he got to the border crossing, they asked him to pull his pants down. He would theoretically be showing an uncircumcised penis. And they nicknamed it the Polanski prick. That's what they called it. So there you go. There's a little Roman Polanski trivia for you. Okay, Ian's in. What's going on over on the 15-minute side? Let's see. Maury's asking, do you all think they'll freeze her out of debates this time around? She may not make it. There are certain things you have to do to make the debates. All right, I'm out of here. Use your head to discern what's real, your heart to say what's possible. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to dive in to the shootings and the kids on the Friday forecast. Be there. Take good care. Bye for now.